So, back for another VGC guide, and this time we are looking at Thundurus. Just like all the other genies, it got buffed. For some reason. Doesn't need a buff, but it got one. It got a new attack in Wild Bolt Storm, but it's not very good. Because you got Thunderbolt. You might as well go for the consistency of Thunderbolts. Tornadus had Air Slash as its option, as the consistent option, but that's a lot weaker than Thunderbolt is. Thunderbolt is 100% accurate as well. Air Slash can miss, also. So yeah, Thunderbolt is better than Wild Bolt Storm in my opinion, because you've got the consistency, you've got the damage output that you need. That's much better than the shaky accuracy of 64% chance to hit both. Because it has a spread move now. It didn't have Snarl previously. Now it's got Snarl. So you can put Snarl on Thundurus, even just as a way of hitting ground-type Pokemon, because if you just go with Mono Thunderbolt, which a lot of support Thundurus do tend to do in previous generations, you are walled by ground types completely, but this is just a way of like breaking a Focus Sash on a Great Tusk, or anything like that. And it's still got the great utility of being able to support as well. Thundurus has been one of the best support Pokemon in previous generations, and now it's got a move to help with that as well in Snarl. So that's going to be really, really nice for it. Just going to be able to break all the sashes, get the supports, get the special attack reduction, then you are sorted. It can still do exactly the same thing as it did previously with Thunder Waves. Going to be able to paralyze the Pokemon at Prankster. So very good speed control, and then you'll be able to sometimes get those full paralysis as well. That is why I do prefer it over Scary Face. Like the fact that they have a quarter of the time they don't move is very, very nice. Scary Face is 100% accurate and can hit ground types, so could be something to consider if you're weak to Scarflandrus or something like that, because then you won't be able to paralyze those. But generally, I think the Thunder Wave, even with the slightly shaky accuracy, is preferred. Substitute is there as a pseudo protect. Obviously, protect can go on the support Thundurus perfectly fine, but substitute is like a pseudo protect where you block one of the attacks. And if they don't attack you, you're behind a substitute. They have to commit an extra attack to KO your Thundurus, because the substitute is done at Prankster as well. So it's kind of like much more like a pseudo protect than it would be on just another Pokemon without Prankster. The fact that it goes at priority is really nice for it, and I do like substitutes a lot on this Thundurus. You can go with the Wild Bolt Storm if you really, really do want to, but if you do, I kind of recommend Wide Lens. Now, Wide Lens is usually like It's an item you should probably get away with. Like, objectively, it probably shouldn't be Wide Lens, but it's going to be really nice clicking 99% accurate Thunder Waves. Like, that still, technically, is not 100%. You'll miss one occasionally, but the security of, yes, I will almost certainly hit my Thunder Wave is very nice. Snarl will turn into 100% accurate. Wild Bolt Storm will turn into 77% chance to hit both Pokemon. So it's actually, like, over a 13% increase of accuracy across hitting both of the Pokemon, because it's 64% chance without, 77.4 with the Wide Lens. So actually does work out quite well. So if you do have the Wide Lens as the security for Thunder Wave, you can probably get away with Wild Bolt Storm a bit more than you can with Thunderbolt, because it also comes into play with Snarl. And then if you're committing to the Wide Lens, why not just go Swagger as well? Slap a Lumberry somewhere on your team and give yourself +2, while also being able to get the Parafusion going with the Swagger and the Thunder Waves as well. Also, just put a Mirror Herb somewhere on your team, because if you have Swagger and you Swagger an opposing special attacker, your Mirror Herb Pokemon will be able to get that boost as well. So that is just something to consider with the Wide Lens, because you might as well make use of the most use of the Wide Lens if you are a coward like me, because I would almost certainly run Wide Lens on my Thundurus. Here are some other options that are available on Thundurus. This is not a recommended moveset, these are just other options. So Volt Switch to get that pivoting action is very reasonable. You'll lose out on some of the damage that you will get on Thunderbolts, and it might be better in some situations to get the damage and stay in, so you can continue supporting, but still worth mentioning. Bite may look a bit silly there, but Thunder Wave and Bite, it's going to stop the opposing Pokemon moving quite often. Like, it's over a 40% chance for them not to move if you bite them and they're paralyzed. So, again, a way to just hit ground-type Pokemon with Bite. Like, it's not there to do the damage, it's just there to just stop them moving. Eerie Impulse is probably objectively better than Snarl, because you get to do it at Prankster, and it's a more effective special attack reduction, going for -2 instead of -1. But it's not going to be able to do damage, so you won't be able to hit ground-type Pokemon. You should have only Snarl or Eerie Impulse. You don't want to have both, that's too much of an overlap. But yeah, the Eerie Impulse is still very good, and probably better than Snarl. Just consider that you won't hit ground types otherwise. Taunt is obviously good with the Prankster Pokemon to be able to shut down all the other stuff that can be going on. You may get into a taunt war between opposing Tornadus and Thundurus, potentially, because some people do like to taunt the opposing Genie for some reason, even though I don't get that play. But yeah, maybe Mental Herb will pick up on Thundurus because of that, because then opposing Tornadus might taunt it. Because like I don't like going for taunt into the opposing genies, because if you lose the taunt speed tie, as it were, then you are kind of screwed. So yeah, but here as well, more options, because like Thundurus is an amazing Pokemon. It's got so many options. If you want to go for Terra Blast, then you can go for something like Terra Blast Ice. So you got the perfect coverage with the Thunderbolt, so you can do extra damage. You can do Nasty Plot, and I would only recommend Nasty Plot if you also have Substitute, because that's been a set that we've seen in previous generations be quite effective. Otherwise, Nasty Plot should be saved for Thundurus Therian, because it doesn't really matter that you're going for a Prankster Nasty Plot. That doesn't help anything. If you're going for the setup Thundurus, you should probably go for the stronger one. Even though Thundurus is slightly, like regular Thundurus Incarnate, is slightly faster than Thundurus Therian, that speed will very unlikely come into play most of the time. It'll be like Garchomp, pretty much. And like other things that are just in between. Some Fluttermanes do go between what max speed Thundurus Incarnate and Thundurus Therian is, but generally the Nasty Plot one probably should be saved for the Therian form. And then just going for the priority weathers as well. So Sunny Day to activate your Photosynthesis Pokemon / get fire boosts. Rain Dance so that you can get the weather going to reduce the fire attacks, get the Urshifu's Water-type Urshifu's doing as much damage as they can, and then Rain Dance can be slapped on a Wild Bolt Storm Thundurus. Like, if you are carrying Rain Dance, you can run Wild Bolt Storm. Otherwise, I would run Thunderbolt. That's just my personal preference there, having access to Thunderbolt. Also worth mentioning the Defiant set. Not going to be as good without Dynamax. Like the reason why Defiant Thundurus was so good last generation and won a World Championship was because of Dynamax, so that you could get the Max Extreme going as well. And you had to go for Fly on that Thundurus. You don't have to for this one. You can go for Acrobatics. This is basically the same one as the Tornadus that I recommended. Grassy Seed is a guaranteed way of getting the Acrobatics activated. I say guaranteed. You might not bring Rillaboom to the match. So it is perfectly reasonable, again, to just go no item if you do want to, because Acrobatics is the best way being able to use that. Wild Charge or Thunder Punch. Wild Charge is going to kind of have a little bit of anti-synergy with the Bulk Up, because then you don't have any way of recovering yourself. So getting rid of your own HP and sacrificing some of your defense might not be so good. So you can definitely run Thunder Punch instead, but then it will be noticeably weaker. So just keep that in mind as well. The spread is just the same one as the Tornadus. I've just stolen that one. Worth mentioning the Defiant, but it's almost certainly going to be back to support for this Thundurus.